Good Saturday morning. Hope you're having a dry weekend. Been wet here in the neighborhood of East Nashville. Roy's Meat Service. One-on-one with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb and Jeff Fisher, the guest, back again here at Roy's.
I'm at Roy's. I'm so excited. I couldn't start. It's a Saturday, and how can you not start off a great weekend at Roy's? You walk in the door and you're hungry. You know, everything's awesome. So I'm happy to be back here. These, Jeff, Roy, and everybody just been so great, to us over the last few years, and to the Cats and to the players and, the game, everything. And so it's just nice to come back. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Hey, this is an event.
Yeah.
You've already see the roads blocked off.
Oh,
and this will go, people understand where 19th and Shelby is here in East Nashville. Everybody knows or should know where Roy's is. They'll block this street out. And from 4 to 10 tonight, it's the annual Shelby Hills Block Party.
Wow.
And they will have people. It's a mini Woodstock is what it is.
Is it?
They'll be all over the place.
Yeah.
They got live music starting all the way through until 10 and everything. And Jeff Roy's I can't figure out if Christy's his daughter or his wife because she looks so young.
Well, know one thing. She's the boss.
The boss.
Okay.
Yeah, Christy Roy just coming in. Big day here, man. This is Shelby Hills Block Party, and they do it every year.
Boy, how about Nashville?
Yeah.
I mean, stuff going on all over the place, from the rodeo, Miranda Lambert, to Shelby Hills Block Party. Man, I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
So glad you're a part of it.
What's not going on this weekend are the Cats.
That's
bye
right.
week. We're 5-1. 5-1, halfway through bye week, and then 6 games, 3 in a row at home in June. 13th, 20th, 27th, and then 3 on the road, and 1 before and 2 after, and then we're off. And we're 6-1 and 1 point away and one last crazy play from being undefeated.
Man, 1 4th down call from being undefeated.
The commissioner said that.
I'm saying that. You know what? The great part about it, from my perspective, is love when those games come down to the end like that.
Yeah.
And there's such an element of subjectivity with respect to the officials, and they're part of our game, and they're doing the best they can, and that's just part of football. Sometimes you're going to agree, and sometimes you're going to disagree. But that game could have been won earlier in the game and all that. But what's nice to be able to do is look back from a Cats perspective and say, they're a couple plays away from being undefeated and sharing the same, perfect record with the Albany Firebirds. And so, all indications are those are probably going to be the 2 teams that are going to be in the finals again this year in the Arena Crown, repeat from last year. And, we know where the credit goes to on the field, and that's to Coach Arbette and his staff. And
200 career wins.
Yeah, I was so excited. After the game, I know you were in the watch party. I was in my own little watch party, watching all the games at the same time, trying to figure out and keep track of what was going on. But shortly after the game, he texted me a photo of him on the field with Cats jersey on, and the number on the jersey was 200. And it was really cool. And so, that says a lot for what he's done over his career. That's a lot of wins when you think about 10 to 12 games a year and all that. And so to get to 200 was a milestone for him, which is great personally, but he gives everybody else the credit, as you would expect, to not be surprised. But the big one's coming around the corner. We don't know if we're going to get there this year or not, but to become the all-time.
Yeah, and he's a few wins. I think it's like 70, maybe not this year, 16, 71. Cat's mom, Shelly Slater's in the house as well. She's the Cat's mom. Just ask her. The thing is, though, win 200 games obviously takes longevity, takes success. But at the highest level, he's got 4 arena championships,
yes,
4 championship rings, and he needs one for the thumb from the Cats' perspective, obviously. But just nobody knows how the sausage is made better than the indoor game. And 3 other head coaches right now in AF1 either played or coached for him or under him.
No surprise that when you have that much success that there's a coaching tree that follows you.
Yeah.
And the guys have great respect, and they're certainly motivated. And one of the fun things for me, kind of at the league level, is to watch how the coaches try to beat the system, if you will, with these rules and doing this and thinking, well, look, if I call this and they don't see it, we might win the game on this play. If they do see it, then I might get a repeat. I'm not going to get penalized. And so kind of took me back in the old days when, if you knew the rule book well enough, you knew how to get around the rule book, knowing that if you could do something that created controversy that perhaps wasn't in the rule book, you guarantee that it will be in the rule book the next year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at right now, or where I'm at with Gary Compton, is just looking at some of these things that coaches are trying to do and pull off. And
well,
that's
the league's director of football operations.
Yes, thank you. And it's not necessarily Darren. Yeah. Darren knows inside and out of how to do things and how not to do things.
Well, I don't want to even, maybe the analogy's not complete, but in NASCAR, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Well,
but
yes.
you just push the envelope, and for years, let's be honest, if we want to pull back the curtain a little bit, they got away with it because they knew the rules better than the people officiating them.
That's right.
Right. And that's in your world. Your point of emphasis on officiating is well known. I was very fortunate. I mean, it was important to me. If you're going to get into something, you better know everything and anything about it. So I did. I spent a lot of time in the book, and then as I stepped into the competition committee role. Dedicated weeks in it with those that had put the book together and the supervisors. And we're talking about the NFL level.
Talking about the NFL level. So that's where I was. And again,
why? Where'd that come from?
Well, it's just kind of I guess it was just my passion or whatever it is. But if you're going to be successful at something, you better know how to do it and what the parameters are. And how to go about it. So,
but you took a leadership role in it. Why that? Most coaches didn't take it that extra step.
Well, it was an honor. I was asked to join the committee by Commissioner Tagliabue pretty much immediately after the Super Bowl here in '99. So 2000, we talked. I think my first year was 2001 or 2001. I got on the competition committee. So, he just saw he just. I mean, he was very complimentary, and it was an honor to serve on that committee with those that I had served with. I mean, you talk about, Mike Holmgren was on the committee when I got on. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones. George Young. You name it. These guys that really pioneered the NFL were part of it. It was just an honor to be on it, and then the different supervisors, that we worked with. Mike Pereira came in after about 5 years, and then Dean took over, and then it went to the next one and the next one. And so, it was a great experience. But you know the rules, the rules, and we did. And, there was things that happened at the end of games and end of half that, don't happen anymore. But, and again, to be honest, I'm a little surprised at the lack of understanding or the outright admission on behalf of some head coaches, even recently over the last few years, that, well, I wasn't sure about that. I didn't know that rule and things like that. How can you get into a game or get into a situation where you don't know the rules?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I don't know, we can go down that rabbit hole. We got rabbit holes everywhere on this show. Is it more difficult to officiate AF1 than it is 11-man regular football?
That's a great question. The background on this. Last year, over the last couple of years, we found out that over 60% of the white hats, the referees in the NFL have experience at one point in their career in the indoor game, which was pretty impressive. Officials love the indoor game because it's so fast. It trains their eyes. They have to be responsible, focused, and so many guys have done it. They love it. They understand it. we right now we are in a really good place in my mind with respect to officiating in AF1 because we have an outstanding supervisor. He's been building crews around the country that consist of current college officials, and these guys love the opportunity to get in there and work this game. There's going to be some things that are going to be missed, of course, just because it's new to them. But we have a really good group of experienced officials in AF1. So officiating, some people say officiating's officiating. Not necessarily. The eyes, you're training the eyes. The game's different. As we know how fast this game is and the intricacies of the game and everything. So they come in, they learn the rules, and they try to do the best they can.
But they all come from the collegiate, pro, all over the map, all kind of and even locally, you talk about, usually the Cats, their white hat is Tom Ritter, who used to be the director of officiating for the SEC. One of their main guy is now doing that. He's retired from the collegiate level as well. I had somebody the other day said, "Man, I've never been to a game where the referees plays pitch and catch with kids in the stands."
Well,
I mean, think about that.
Yeah, I mean it's the special thing, the unique thing about indoor football is the level of intimacy between the players and the fans. The fans are sitting on the boards. They're right there. The players are slapping hands, saying hi, doing all those kind of things. What we wanted to do this year was extend that to the officials as well. We wanted the officials to be as big a part of our game as the players are with respect to the fans. So they've done a great job with that. Maybe you don't, but if you're there in person during TV timeouts, if there's not a conference or the guys are on their own, they're entertaining, man. They're throwing their flag, their penalty flag up in the stands, and kids are throwing it on the field. And we just wanted everybody to be a part of it.
The AF1, there's two hats you wear. You've got the commissioner hat, and then you're the president and majority partner of the Cats. We're going to get to Clarksville. Well, let's get to Clarksville right now. We don't have any. We can take our breaks whenever we want to. Four home games, averaging 3,000. I would call that happy but not satisfied. Merch sales, good. The community would love to have a full run-up to a year to get that community involved, but they are involved. Clarksville, to use a baseball term, is a home run.
It is. It's the relationship's been outstanding. As we all know, it goes back to the final two games of the season last year. We had one scheduled and then found out literally after at the conclusion of the game, we were coming back the next week for the first playoff game, and that really set the ball rolling. So I can't say enough about Clarksville, about the community, about the support. And again, we're ascending day by day. The Clarksville relationship with the Cats, with AF1, is getting better and better. And it's you give that, there's credit. There's credit that needs to be. I mean, it needs to be discussed and go around. And you're at the top of that. You've done so much for us. The addition of Jeff Jarrett in our world has been amazing.
He's a whirlwind.
He is. And then everybody else. There's a lot of people that are working behind the scenes that people won't. In time they'll recognize how hard it has been. But we're at a point where now things are ready to take off. All eyes are on Clarksville from AF1. The teams that we are currently interviewing that will be joining AF1 in 27, all eyes are on Clarksville, Albany, the new franchises, and so there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Well, and it starts at the top on the other side. Montgomery County Mayor Wes Golden. The county owns F&M Bank Arena, which is managed by the Predators, Janine Lalick, Patrick Zazzaro. It just, the partnership essentially between the Cats, you've used this analogy, they're like our big brother.
Yeah, they are. And from the first game last year, we realized that there's a chance to have a great relationship with F&M Bank Arena and Clarksville, obviously, and, just progressing on a weekly basis. So, you can't do it without great communication lines, and we have that. And as you say, we got we got an off week this weekend, and then back to back to back, and we'll be rolling by that point.
I'm going to plug something for the mayor. This afternoon from 2 to 6, there is a fundraiser for the campaign of County Mayor Wes Golden at the Hilltop Supermarket in Clarksville. So they've become friends. They're friends. Yeah. It's like, what do we need to do? Let's go do it.
And, the thing that's interesting and that I didn't anticipate, you may have, is that, Mayor Wes Golden and his relationship to the community is one thing, but his willingness to bring people to the table to help us that are in the community, so many of them around Clarksville. It's just been an outstanding relationship.
We do have a peanut gallery now.
Yeah, we do.
Dane McCary, Vol Boy, Greg Barton, Doug Owen, of course, who handled all of our training camp on the behalf of Roy's Meat Service. So, yeah, we have an audience. 101 with Greg Pogue. We are at Roy's Meat Service, presented by Freeman Webb. Jeff Fisher, the guest. More with Jeff coming up right here, 94.9 The Fan. It's 101 with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb, Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville. The Shelby Hills Block Party. From 4 to 10, live music all the way through. This is the place to be. It's free, and they're raising funds for the benefiting Box 55 Foundation, which benefits firefighters who have been injured, their family needs, and everything. So a great donations for
great
all that.
Cause.
Yeah, great cause with Box 55. Jeff Fisher, the guest. You don't want to go, well, that was a really nice or really good or really something, but Thursday, the memorial celebration for Coach Mack, of course, you, large part of that, obviously you brought Mack to town, and Jonathan Hutton, I thought Mike Keith, obviously, and it was in the west side of Nissan Stadium, and Miss Amy I thought a very respectful gathering because, Coach Mack, man.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I know. Thanks for bringing it up. No, really appreciate what the Titans did. They were there, throughout his battle, pretty much to the end. The interesting thing about Coach Mack is, and I mentioned this the other day, was just the different chapters in his life and the people that he touched across the football world. I mean, the greatest thing, and I think the same thing that everybody says that got to know Mac, even if it were for 5 minutes, is that if you met him for 5 minutes, you felt like you've known him for 5 years or all your life, and then 5 years later, when you saw him again, he was asking you how your kids were or your parents were or this or that, and you felt like you've known him just forever. And that was he was such. I got a really nice email tribute from the Rams organization. People don't remember Mac and being part of the Rams organization, but from the CEO Kevin Demoff. Just what Mac did in his effort. When we got to the Rams in that short chapter in his life, and things were different. The organization was fragmented. It was a mess. And most teams are a mess when you take over 2 and 14 teams. Mac,
then you're moving,
and everything associated with that. But Mac just he had this unique way of pulling everything together, everybody together. The one thing that Mike Heath talked about that I think really sums up Coach McGinnis is that we had a cleaning lady in the building here over at Baptist Sports Park forever. Her name was Hansa, and she was a wonderful woman. And she did her job, and she was there for years. And she was dealing with a terminal illness, and she had mentioned that the one thing she wanted to do in her life was to be able to go and on a cruise and swim with the dolphins. And guess what Coach Mack did? He arranged that. Nobody knew that. No one. He did it. He didn't want it because anything to do with it because of the attention. It's just how he cared about everybody that he met over his career. So, it was.
And as Mike mentioned, that the word on the street, he paid for her funeral as well.
Yes, he did. Mac was he had such a giving heart, and it was just what he had been through. And I mentioned some of these things. I mean, Mac and I met way back, on the phone, early in 1986. For the listeners that remember the '85 Bears, after the Super Bowl in '85, the whole defensive staff up and left. That would include Buddy Ryan and the whole defensive staff. And Mike Dick is sitting there without a defensive staff, and he's sitting there with the best, arguably one of the, if not the best defense ever assembled in the National Football League, the most dominant defense. And along with that came a whole bunch of personalities, man. I mean, this group was rare. And the personalities on that defense. And you got Mike Singletary, who's running the defense. And then you've got these linebackers of Wilbur Marshall and Otis Wilson. And then Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael. And this group would take anything off of anybody and would just and Dave McGinnis steps in the door literally 2 months after the Super Bowl win against the Patriots, and he's coaching the linebackers out of college. He came from Kansas State. Out of college he sat there. Well, he called me because he needed to learn that defense really, really fast. And he called me. I had gone with Buddy at the time, and I was coaching in Philadelphia. And then that's kind of when our relationship started. But the things that he dealt with, he had that unique sense as a head coach. There's a lot going on, as you all can imagine, at the end of the hall. Sometimes the door's shut, sometimes it's open. Mac, basically, whether his office was right outside my office or any head coach he was working for, Mac understood that if he could sift through everything before it got to the head coach, he could allow the head coach to be better prepared for the day and what have you. And that was some of the advice that I gave him early on. He learned that obviously in a number of ways the hard way in Arizona, but he was just one of those guys. He was that filter that you needed. Hey Matt, could you do? I already did it for you, coach. So anyway, it's just the beginning of his legacy. That the Titans so graciously put on the West Side last Thursday, and we're going to continue with that.
Well, he's going to join you on the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, appreciate you saying that, and that was it's well deserved, and I was really appreciative of Amy when she made that announcement in front.
Let me ask you a question that obviously Coach Mack I don't know, maybe after the first or second time I ever met him, and that's been 20 years or so, and I can't tell a lie, he caused me a hangover or two over the years just sitting there listening to what he's about. But he found out that I had a special son named Clay. He always started every one of our conversations, how's your son?
Clay?
How's your son?
Yeah.
And thanks, Coach. Thanks for asking. What made him a good football coach?
Well, his communication skills, he understood football, obviously very, very well. The X's and O's, over time kind of took a back seat to his communication skills and his ability to develop relationships with everybody in the building, which is so important. The other thing that we brought up the other day was, football's a game. Games are supposed to be fun. You need to have fun when you come in the building. And Mac was all about having fun. And he knew there was a line to cross and not cross as far as those kind of things. But what was so important to us over our careers, and me, and then Mac actually supported that, was that when you come into the building in the morning, in the facility, whether you're coming in on a Monday after a win or you're coming in on a Monday after a loss, we want everybody to just look forward to coming in there because they know how much fun it is just to be a part of the program. after losses, obviously they're difficult. Everybody knew that you were going to put them in perspective and move on. And Mac just had that unique understanding about the needs, about the demands, the requirements, the characteristics of everybody in the building. And he knew everybody in the building, just to your point. And not just on the first name basis, but he personally knew them. You know, he was at all three of my kids' weddings. Julie's, we had 3 weddings, and Mac was at all 3 of them. He's been to Montana vacation, traveled around, you know, even when I got out, and remember, you know, I was helping out down in Birmingham, helping Fox with the USFL for a year. He just road trip down there for games, and he was just always a part of everything.
Every Friday night he was at a high school football game.
A high school football
with
game.
Doug Matthews,
Yeah.
Carlton Flatt.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my boys played in national championship games. One, you know, in FCS and the other in FBS, and or participated in them if they didn't play. And he's at those games.
Yeah,
he was just there.
And a lot of people now, mostly around here, remember him from his 9 years with Mike Keith, and last year with Taylor Zarzour. Taylor, I've known Taylor for 25 years. Matter of fact, we did a morning sports talk show in this market 20 years ago. Shows you how old I am. But that second life is what a lot of us learn more about him, the person, and some of his, I love this word, this is a Vanderbilt word, colloquialisms. Like, you ever seen a rooster get run over the middle road by a Ford pickup truck? Yeah, well, now you have, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, and just everything he was about.
Yeah, tackling that running back is like bumping your head off a frozen truck bumper. You know, just stuff over and over and over, and it was, and you know,
is that West Texas?
It's all Snyder, West Texas. Yep, and it just comes out. It came out naturally, and that was the thing. He was so. There were some other, you know, people from the broadcast world. Larry Kahn, I don't know if you knew Larry, but Larry did a lot of broadcasting on the West Coast, and you know, a lot with Coach John Robinson and things. And Larry and Mac got to be really good friends, and he was rare in that world, with respect to, you know, the color commentator, that guy that added information to the broadcast, and the relationship obviously that he and Mike had for years. You know, I told the story after I got out, and you know, and got to finally spend some time up in Montana in the fall. I'd look forward to Sundays and plan a long, at least a drive to go fish or hunt or whatever, just so I could listen to the Titans radio and listen to Mac and Mike Keith. And, you know, it was like you were right there in the broadcast booth with them.
Jeff Fisher is our guest, one-on-one with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb. We're at Roy's Meat Service. Don't forget about the Shelby Hills Block Party. They're going to close the roads downtown over in East Nashville, 4 to 10, live music all the way through, great food. It all benefits Box 55, the foundation that services firefighters in our city. Let me tell you about the Boulevard Bar and Grill. My buddy Jeff Levick, Jeff Levick. No, he's with the Albany Firebirds.
Yes, he is. He's your buddy, though.
He doesn't own the Boulevard Bar and Grill.
He does not.
Jeff Nebel does, and that is, he's got 2 J's in the borough, comes from a restaurant family, great guy. Boulevard Bar and Grill, they have all of the MTSU football coaches shows. We had Derek Mason, the football coach, and the player up at the same time.
Yes.
And so Coach Mason came up, his coaches show, the men's and women's basketball coaches show. Chip Walters does hosting of the football and men's basketball. I host the women's show down there at the Boulevard. The food is amazing. They've got their specials, their daily specials. They got a smash burger that's on Tuesday or Wednesday. Go either day, and one of it's $10. You can't go to McDonald's for $10, and that's just the specials there. They got outdoor seating, all of that stuff going on. The Boulevard Bar and Grill. If you want to find me hiding out from Jeff Fisher, it's usually at the Boulevard in the borough. BoulevardMurfreesboro.com is the website. More with Jeff Fisher coming up here on 94.9 The Fan. It's one-on-one with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb. We are at Roy's Meat Service, East Nashville. Jeff Fisher, our guest, the commissioner of AF1, the president, managing partner. The Shelby Hills Block Party from 4 to 10, live music all the way through, food trucks, all the stuff, and, of course, the great food here at Roy's Meat Service. I know, let's put your commissioner hat on. So starting at 6 o'clock, Vice Network, and the numbers that are coming that the league is showing us by their metrics of our viewership's up like 600, 700%. And on the Vice, obviously, I get DirecTV, so the Vice Network is on my TV. I get that. And then the other games, Home Team Network, our YouTube channels and everything. But you will sit there and watch all three, right? I mean, with that commissioner hat on.
Yeah, I mean, last weekend was great because the games were spaced out.
Yeah.
So I could just watch one after another. Today's going to be a challenge, just because they overlap. But yes, I'm trying to get eyes on every single game. We're going to get to the point where we'll have our supervisor of officials doing the same thing and be able to communicate with the white hat, with the referee on the field in case there's an issue. Our instant replay system has increased, by a huge margin, and so I'm trying to just keep an eye on everything. We've had a couple issues, early on, but we've got those things behind us, and so we're expecting a big weekend or a big day today with respect to the game. So we got three, and then we have, we got three teams that are off, Cats included, and then we get right back into the thick of it where we have at least 4 games per weekend.
Well, just for everybody, these are our times at 5 o'clock. This is the Vice national TV game. Eli Gold and Alabama legend Bobby Humphreys. They do all of those games. And we'll just call it like it is. We did them remotely. Last night, we'll talk about Michael Waltrip, our partnership with him in a minute. I was watching the truck race out at Nashville Super Speedway that wasn't over because of the rain after, they're doing it remotely from Charlotte.
Right.
Every one of those. Yeah. And so that's sort of I'm listening to see if I can tell if they're not there, and you can't. And so Eli Gold doing our Vice game of the week at 6 o'clock, Kentucky Barrels, Michigan Arsenal. That's at 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Oceanside and Albany, and then at 8 o'clock Washington and Oregon out west. That's tonight.
Yeah. And, we'll throw this little tease out there. We know, and we're getting ready to state the fact that we're probably going to take 6 teams into the playoffs. And with that being said, the 1 and 2 will be off. And then, that standard 3 will play 6, 4 plays 5, 4, 5, and then the worst survivor goes to 1, and so there's a playoff race right now with some of these teams, and you can see the improvement. That's the interesting thing. The cool thing for me is just to see the improvement as the season progresses. Not only with the presentation, the home presentation, and the fans and everything associated with that, but also the improvement in the football.
It is, because the number one question we get, it obviously. The Cats are the Cats, okay? We found that home. Tell me about the league. And that's the number one question I get from people who are sponsorships, partnerships, all the different things. How is the league?
The league is extremely stable right now, despite what you hear, and then you hear some things out of some of the other leagues that what they're doing
going to throw
and what
rocks.
we're not, and that's okay. I'm spending a great deal of time during the week talking to creating opportunities for other teams, new franchises to come in, and we will have more teams next year. How many? I can't say. I'm going to estimate somewhere between 4 and 6. I think was a good number for us next year. There'll be fully funded and
a regional balance.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is we strategically place, if possible, teams in different parts of the country to where we can minimize the travel. And so we're doing that. We've got 2 or 3, maybe even 4 that we're talking to on the West Coast. And then there's the Midwest has got another 3 or 4 that we've been in communication with. And we just had another one kind of reach out to us on the East Coast. So that's so to answer your question, Greg, the league is going to be solid. We've got some pending league-wide sponsorships that are going to propel us into a different place. So been spending a lot of time in that area. And,
has this been a show me? People are saying, okay, last year, 2 years ago, you jumped in as the
I was just helping.
I was just last year.
Him.
But is this the show me
this
year?
Is this is we don't. That's a great way. It's a really good way to describe it. It is. It's about okay. All right, we're going to show you what we can do, where the potential is right now, and then we're going to bring a lot of assets, whether that includes new franchises or individuals like Jeff Jarrett and so on into the league, and we're going to go. And so it's pretty exciting.
Jeff Jarrett. Oh, by the way, we're talking about Mike Heath. Plug this June 20th. Let's plug all three of our home games until we get to the playoffs. They're consecutive. The 13th is Predators night.
Correct.
Nash is going to be there and some Predators. So the Predators night, Pete Weber, talk to Pete. Pete and Claudia are coming up. The 20th, we're doing a Father's Day celebration. And Mike Keith, voice of the Vols, obviously former voice of the Titans, he's coming to be our Cats captain of the night. And then the 27th, is Salute to Veterans,
Correct.
which is a natural, obviously, in Clarksville.
Right. The 20th, I might add, is our first contest with the Albany Firebirds.
At home.
At home.
We go up there before then.
Correct.
No, we go there later.
We go there
right,
later.
in July.
So Albany's coming to town. That'll be a great
That'll be for first place, most likely.
And it will, potentially will be for – a home field advantage early in the playoff scenario. So we've got that date picked out. A number of the prospective new clubs and owners are coming in that weekend, and so it's going to be a great weekend for us.
Yeah, coming to see you. And the thing is, I know your approach, our approach. We want the Cats to be the model. Albany's already been there. They've been 30 years. I mean, they are the old arena football heyday.
Generational players in there.
Yeah. And we have that as well. Jeff Fisher is our guest, one-on-one with Greg Pogue. Do you like, let me just throw you a generic question. You like the 11-man football? Let's get to the NFL. You like the game right now overall, just the NFL game? I tell you what, if you're telling me college or NFL, I'm college, okay? That's just where I grew up. But you like the game?
Yeah, I followed the game.
Yeah.
I followed it last year. I was really excited for the Seahawks and excited for New England, for a lot of different reasons. But, I have friends there in Seattle. Great respect for that organization. I was very, very fond of Sam Darnold coming out of college, not because it was my alma mater, but just because I saw a great deal of potential in him. So, yes, I am. I'm excited about it. The league, it's certainly changed. Technology has taken it to another level, which I'm kind of old-fashioned. And cautious about those things. The college game on the other side, I think the college game needs work. I worry about the smaller conferences, the smaller levels, just only because of what the NIL thing is done. I'm hoping that things get straightened out there. It is turning that game from a coaching perspective, administration perspective, into a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 12-month-a-year job, and I think they need to be careful where they're going. And the NIL thing, when you got players that are taking pay cuts, they're coming into the NFL, college, something is wrong. And I was reading something about a loophole where there's one NIL there's one transfer portal period, but there might just be another one because a player is trying to transfer again as a track athlete. Okay, and oh, by the way, he might also play football. So there's loophole after loophole, and we could go on forever. I'm just thankful that guys like Nick Saban and former coaches are taking an active role and trying to control this, because the smaller programs, the smaller conferences across the country are really suffering right now. And it's hard for them to remain competitive. And, the other thing is that, there once was a time where you went to college to get an education and play football. And you worry about where that's going.
Now you go to college and buy your own business.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, let me read you 4 names. Head coach Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, and assistant head coach special teams Bones John Fossil. 4 head coaches in one right there.
Yes,
that's an incredible staff.
Yeah, this is an outstanding staff. Things have changed. Yes, Coach Daboll, I've had great respect for Brian for a long time. What he did at Alabama and what he did with quarterbacks and offenses and everything. He's an outstanding coach, and he'll be great for Cam and that side of the ball. Gus has been doing it for a long, long time. And Coach Saleh as well. So you talk about defense and what's going on and how to run a defense and strategic, all those things, scheme and everything. And then there's no better special teams coach than Coach Fossil. We were together for 5 years. When I was let go, he took over as interim, and I talked to him every single day until it was over. And he's a great friend. He was really close to Coach Mack, and anybody that's played for, they call him Bones, Coach John Fossil, will take memories all the way through the rest of their life with the things that he's done. So this is an outstanding coaching staff. I was not close to the previous staff. I didn't know, I knew of and things like that, but this staff is a difference maker right now. It's been said I didn't come up with the phrase, but people have said this one is not going to allow this program to become a daycare center. This is about professional football, about coming to work, and not just, and I love this part of it, it's not just 9 to 5, it's 5 to 9. It should be, you should breathe football and passion and look forward to coming to work and learn how to become good teammates. The strengths of this staff is basically this. It understands the players' strengths and weaknesses, and they all have them. And it's all about their ability to turn the weaknesses into strengths and maintain the strengths. And this is a very, very good staff from a teaching standpoint, and they communicate very well, and the expectation level should be very high from the get-go.
Take a break. Our last one-on-one with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb here at Roy's Meat Service. Don't forget about the Shelby Hills block party tonight, 4 to 10 o'clock right here. We'll be back and wrap it up with Jeff Fisher in just a few. Got a few more moments, one-on-one with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb, Roy's Meat Service, East Nashville. The Shelby Hills block party tonight from 4 to 10, and it's a thing. It's a thing. Jeff Fisher, it's a thing.
It's a thing, but it is a thing that is benefiting very, very worthwhile.
Well, Box 55,
yeah,
the outreach for firefighters.
For firefighters,
yes.
First responders, come on. I mean, there's so much of that going on. And it not only in this state, but this over the next, month or so, there's so much of it going on, and annually in different places. One of my favorite ones was in St. Louis, and it was called Guns and Hoses, and it was put on by Anheuser-Busch, and
imagine that.
And it was boxing, but between the firefighters and the police officers, and it was a weekend, just blowout festival. In the venue, and there were boxing matches there, 3 1-minute round matches, male and female, not. I mean,
I got it. Yeah.
That we're the guys were fighting
like
guys.
that would really matter. Sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this thing. And every single police officer and firefighter, for the most part, was there. But the money that they raised for those programs.
That's what they'll do here today. With this.
It's so important.
And it's a party. Oh, by the way, up on the shelf here, Michael Waltrip beer.
Yeah.
Hey, look right over that Talladega, right behind you, Dane. They know. Yeah. Michael, that's a whole other animal with our partnership with Michael Waltrip Brewing and Racing.
Yeah, it is. We actually had something scheduled this week, but we certainly understand and offer our condolences to the Kyle Busch family. But there was a memorial, and so we're going to reschedule. But yeah, we've partnered up with Michael and
Zach Pillar
and Zach
neighbors.
Pillar, and looking forward to going down that path. That's going to be a blast.
We're also on Jackson Boone Racing. All the stuff in here, we're on his car as well. Jeff, thanks, man. Go watch some football.
Going to watch
3 games
as fast as I can. Tonight. So
all right.
We'll take a deep breath. Thanks for everything you do for the community, also for the Cats.
All right, it's going to wrap it up. Once again, the Shelby Hills Block Party tonight. We are at Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville. Jeff Fisher's been our guest. Thank you, Jake Steichenfelker. I butcher his name every name. Steichelfest. There you go. Is that close enough, Jake? Yeah, he said. All right, Jake Steichelfest. Everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks for listening.